So today I was sitting in a call with one of my friends on my computer, and we were talking about old experiences in high school, from embarrassing to funny to crazy. And we started talking about embarrassing stuff specifically. And my friend was telling me this story about how he tripped and fell in the middle of class once, and everybody laughed at him. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, I think I have something that can top that. Now, I have just a vault of story times of embarrassing moments from high school. I mean, I think anybody does. Like, high school has got to be one of the most embarrassing times in anybody's life. Like, you're going through puberty, your voice sounds like this every 5 seconds, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, absolutely insane. By the way, that voice crack was totally on the spot, and that was crazy how natural that sounded. I'm kind of amazed by that. But, it's just an embarrassing time, like, from your voice changing to your body changing to, like, everything about you changing. It's just a scary time sometimes. And this story time has nothing to do with any of the stuff I just talked about, but it's definitely an embarrassing moment that, affected my high school career for like that year. So the story time all starts off as a normal morning. I was just sitting in my room, waking up. It took me like 20 minutes every day to get up and get out of bed. I would just kind of wake up and stare at the ceiling and be like, why is this my life? And yeah, I got up out of bed, finally, after 20 minutes of loathing in my sadness. I got up out of bed, I took a shower, I got dressed, got ready for the day, and my day had started. I got on the bus, went to school, got to school, talked to some friends before the first bell rang, went to first period class, and this all starts in first period class. This is like a bunch of little stories in one. This is story number one of the day, okay? I get into class, I sit down in the back of the room like I always did. We didn't have assigned seats, which is why I love this class. Like, listen, if there's any teachers watching my videos, please just don't assign seats. Like, non-assigned seats are the move. So yeah, we didn't have assigned seats in this class. I went and sat down in the very back corner like I always did every day to avoid human contact because I was tired and grumpy and just looked like I had just crawled out of bed. And yeah, I sit in the back, I get on my phone, and I start scrolling through Twitter because we had a couple minutes before the class started. And this was my routine literally every single day. I would sit in the back every morning, first period class, sit on my Twitter for like 2 minutes before we started doing work, and then kind of repeat. Every single class that I would go to, I'd open Twitter and just scroll and try and kill time before class started. So yeah, I'm scrolling Twitter, and all of a sudden, one of my good friends, one of my good online friends, sends me a DM, and it's a video from some like viral meme Twitter, and it was like, holy shit, no way she did this. So of course, naturally, I fall for the clickbait. I open up the video thinking that my phone's on mute and thinking that it's a funny video or something, and I get absolutely obliterated with the loudest moaning sounds I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, the entire class heard this, and it echoed off every single wall. There was a legit echo, it was so loud, and the entire class looks at me, because now they think I'm watching, P-Hub in the middle of class, and they all look at me and they hesitate for a second, and they just burst into laughter, like full-on laughter, just dying laughing, and I just start getting really embarrassed, and I put my phone down, and I kind of like put my head in my hands and just, think about how bad I just embarrassed myself. And yeah, I kind of play it off like it's all funny and cool, but I was very, very embarrassed. So yeah, fast forward to later that day, pretty much everybody I was passing in the hallway was making fun of me. I would pass by somebody who I didn't even know, and they'd be like, hey man, like what were you watching in class earlier? And I'd be like, Twitter. And they'd be like, didn't sound like Twitter. And I'd be like, well, it was. And they're like, nah, it wasn't. It sounded like something else. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, after getting roasted pretty much the entire day, I thought that it was over. I thought this day couldn't get any worse. Like, there's not possibly one thing that could happen that could make this day even worse than it was. And I was so wrong about that. There was a very good chance it was going to get worse. So fast forward to the second to last period of the day, I had a study hall, and I only had 2 study halls every single week. And the thing about study hall, if you've ever had one, most of them are very quiet. Like, it's just a very super silent environment because people are studying and catching up on homework and stuff like that. So it's a super quiet environment. So I go into study hall, I sit down, and my study hall is in the cafeteria. And the cafeteria was just a giant, huge auditorium with tons and tons of space, okay? So if you said anything or you did anything super loud in that room, it would echo throughout the entire room. So I knew not to open anything that was from my friend on Twitter. So I sit down at my cafeteria table, and we get about 30 minutes into study hall, and it was going completely normal. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening. And then as I'm working, I feel something touch my backpack, like something like brushed up against it. And I turn around really quick, and it's some dude, and I know this guy. I don't know him very well. I've just seen him around the halls before. He was a very popular athlete in my school. And he's like, oh, my bad, man, I bumped your backpack. I'm like, it's all good, man. And he walks away with a really strange smirk on his face. Like, he had a very evil smirk on his face. And the thing about him is he was in my class in first period, which means he knows about the video that I opened in class. So he runs back to this table with a huge smirk on their face, and I'm looking at them, and they're all looking at me smiling. And I'm so confused. I'm like, why are they smiling at me? Like, why are they laughing at me? I didn't do anything funny. And then as I think that, right as I think that, the loudest, most insane moaning sounds start coming from my backpack. And I open up my backpack, and there's a giant Bluetooth speaker in my backpack. This little motherfucker walked over to my backpack and planted a Bluetooth speaker that he was connected to and played some loud ass moaning video as loud as he possibly could, and the entire cafeteria heard it. It was bouncing off every wall, and I couldn't find the power button because all the buttons are like blended into the speaker. So I'm hitting every possible button, and I'm just turning it up on accident because I hit the volume button. And finally, I find the power button and I turn it off. But it had already been too late, okay? That thing was on for like 10 whole seconds. All of my teachers heard it. Everyone in the study hall heard it. Everybody started laughing at me. The whole cafeteria that was in study hall, from silent to just insane laughter. So I go from really embarrassed to just really pissed, because this is one of the most insane pranks anybody's played on me, and I knew I had to get revenge. I'm not letting this Chad get away with just embarrassing the absolute hell out of me. Like, if anyone's gonna embarrass me, it's gonna be me, okay? So I start scheming up a plan. I'm like, okay, I need to do something before the day ends. I only have one more period after this, and then the school day's over. I need to do something now. So I immediately text one of my good friends from school who also owned a Bluetooth speaker, and I ask him if he has it, and if he does, can I borrow it? And he replies, and he's like, yeah, man, you can borrow my speaker. Like, just please give it back at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, don't worry, man. I got you. So I get his Bluetooth speaker from him after study hall, and I go to that dude's locker, that Chad, because I know where his locker is. It wasn't far from mine. And the thing about lockers at my old school is they were really scuffed, okay? All you had to do was pull up on like the little handle thing and kick it, and the locker would open without a combination. They were really old, just scuffed lockers. So yeah, I took the speaker, I planted it in his locker on the top shelf, turned on, fully maxed up volume, connected to my phone, and I played the loudest, most just absolute maxed out, distorted moaning sound I could find, and the entire hallway heard this, and they start laughing their ass off, and they're all like, whose locker is that? Like, whose is that? And all of a sudden, the Chad comes running out of nowhere. He runs up to his locker and he puts his combination in, and he opens it, and everyone's laughing at him, and all of a sudden, my principal comes up out of nowhere and goes, come with me. And he gets escorted up while holding this Bluetooth speaker while it's still playing the moaning sounds all the way up to the principal's office. And I can't lie, at this point, I felt kind of bad. But at the same time, it was pretty funny, I can't lie. But don't worry, Mr. Chad didn't get in trouble. He got escorted up to the principal's office, sat down. They asked him some questions. He said it wasn't his speaker, and no one got in trouble. They believed him, and they didn't suspend him. But he knew who did it. He knew it was me. And he was pissed. He threatened me at the end of the day. He's like, if you ever do that again, I'm coming for you. I'm like, all right, man. Sorry. Like, just had to get revenge. Like, you can't do that to me and not expect it back. He's like, whatever. We're even. I'm like, yes, we are. So yeah, this day was definitely a very embarrassing one for me. Lots of people in my school looked at me as that dude that accidentally opened a really loud moaning video in school. But also, I got the sweetest revenge of all time on a Chad. So, you know, it was kind of like a lose-win situation. So I guess that's good. But yeah, guys, moral of the story is always have your phone on mute in class. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Leave a like on the video if you found this story to be funny or entertaining. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace. Like, what's up? They leave me out for the dead, and now they know they're fucked. All my texts are unread, that's how I